Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gumansing. Happy Friday. Topping our newscast, an early morning shooting has left many shocked. VIPD officers, along with officers from other law enforcement agencies, responded to the area of the Total Service gas station located in Altona in regards to shots fired. The busy intersection includes nearby Banco Popular, Adelita Cancrine School, and other businesses. Police remained in the area for a while, canvassing and looking for a suspect or suspects. Some who work in the area said they could hear the back and forth shooting as it appeared to be a shootout. Sources say nearby businesses went into lockdown until the all clear was given. No reports of injuries or damages. Here's the VIPD with more.
Officers arrived on the scene and discovered multiple spent casing in the roadway between the service station and Adelita Cancrine Junior High School. The case is being followed by the Criminal Investigations Bureau. Anyone with information regarding crime in our community, you can always call 911 or Crime Stoppers VI at 1-800-222-TIPS.
VITEMA is encouraging the Virgin Islands community to get prepared for the 2016 Atlantic hurricane season. They teamed up with the American Red Cross on Holland Redfield's show to share some important information residents need to know as we prepare for the Atlantic hurricane season, which runs from June 1st to November 30th. Now that the hurricane season has officially kicked off, meteorologists are calling for an above normal hurricane season.
People are expecting, well, if the season doesn't look that active, I should not prepare. And that's not true. We need to always prepare.
This year, with 14 named storms forecast for the Atlantic Basin, of those, 8 are predicted to become hurricanes and 4 are predicted to become major hurricanes.
The hurricane season that's prepared by the NOAA in Washington, it came out with a very near normal conditions for this year. They're forecasting 10 to 16 named storms.
Local agencies have started campaigns, including American Red Cross. Both the American Red Cross and VITEMA, they're urging residents to plan ahead.
We're not a first responder agency. What we are is an agency that does the collaboration, ensuring coordination and collaboration for resources for all the entities within the Virgin Islands. And so if there is a significant event, what will happen is we will gather agencies, nonprofit as Red Cross.
Our main role is actually preparedness and also mass care, which we operate the shelters during time of disaster.
And that's along with Human Services, am I correct?
Yes. Human Services is actually our lead agency. They're primary, and they oversee us. But our task is to work in partnership with the Department of Human Services and all of our partners to ensure that we can bring those shelter services to our community.
They say have a basic emergency supply kit that's ready to go in case of a major emergency. An emergency plan with the family should also be in place.
This year, American Red Cross, we are singing again the preparedness theme, but it is in the form of a question: are you really prepared? And so that is what we're asking each individual to ask themselves, because we normally buzz up, yes, I'm prepared, but how prepared are you?
So plan ahead. Get an emergency supply kit, make a family disaster plan, stay informed, and volunteer to help your community. Be resilient. And Director Barnes reminds you to sign up for VI Alert. You can also volunteer with the American Red Cross, and those are the numbers there on St. Thomas, 774-0375, St. Croix, 778-5104. Some good news for many. Department of Finance delivered 2,116 tax refund checks to the U.S. Post Office Friday afternoon, and more than $5 million is now on its way to Virgin Islands residents. Clarina Modeste Elliott, who is the Executive Assistant to Finance Commissioner Valdemar Collins, confirmed that the refund checks were delivered to the U.S. Post Office at approximately 2 p.m. on Friday. These represent the second large batch of 2015 income tax refunds to be processed since the April 15 filing deadline. More than 3,500 refund checks were mailed out on May 12, totaling about $10 million. Governor Kenneth Mapp has credited the territory's strengthened financial condition and improved management of resources for allowing refunds to be paid in a timely manner. Interim Executive Director of the Virgin Islands Water and Power Authority, Julio Reimer Sr., said Friday the action by Moody's Investor Services to downgrade the authority's bond rating was eminently expected. He said while the authority has received a payment of just over $8 million from the government for past due obligations of the territory's hospitals, the rating agencies are interested in seeing a pattern where WAPA develops a constant revenue stream to liquidate its debt as opposed to one-time payments.
Interim Executive Director of the Virgin Islands Water and Power Authority, Julio Reimer Sr., said Friday the action by Moody's Investor Services to downgrade the authority's bond rating was eminently expected, given the continued downward spiral of the public utilities finances and the challenge of stabilizing its financial footing. He said in light of last week's decision by the Public Services Commission to delay action on a requested emergency rate increase, resulting in WAPA's inability to amass sufficient days of cash on hand, the rating downgrade, originally scheduled for June 6th but acted on Thursday, was largely anticipated.
In other news, Governor Mapp and his delegation have completed two of their first meetings in China. Thursday's meeting included Air China, the opening meeting for the mission, followed by meetings with the United States Ambassador to China, Max Baucus. Governor Kenneth Mapp met with Air China officials to discuss opportunities that are available to expand Chinese tourism to the USVI through private partnerships and promotional programs with Chinese partners. China produced 109 million outbound tourists in 2015, with retail spending of U.S. $229 billion. Governor Kenneth Mapp and Department of Tourism Commissioner Beverly Nicholson Doty were among the delegation meetings, which will continue through Friday, continue this evening in Beijing with ArcLight and Sinopec. DPNR's Commissioner Don Henry announces the kickoff celebration of Virgin Islands Small Business Week, which begins June 6th to the 10th. 2 workshops to educate garage and auto repair shops, refinishing business owners and managers on environmental compliance assistance, as well as federal and local regulatory laws. They're all planned. Sponsored by the Small Business Environmental Assistance Program, Division of Environmental Protection, VI Small Business Development Center, and hosted by UVI. The St. Thomas St. John workshop is set for Monday, June 6th at the VI SBDC training facility in Niski Center, and then the St. Croix workshop will be held on Wednesday, June 8th at the VI SBDC training facility at Scion Farm Shopping Center. The workshops all go from 9 a.m. to 12, and there is no fee for attendance. Call for more information. Turn our attention overseas. 5 soldiers are dead and 4 others missing after the military vehicle they were riding in overturned. The Fort Hood soldiers were attempting to cross a flooded creek. Scott McLean is live from Fort Hood with the latest on search efforts.
As you're well aware, yesterday we suffered a tragic accident.
Fort Hood, Texas is mourning the deaths of soldiers caught in floodwaters Thursday. The tactical vehicle they were traveling in got stuck crossing a flooded creek on base and flipped over. Soldiers in a vehicle following behind were able to rescue 3 of the victims, but the search is still on for the missing.
All assets that we have, both ground, air, the dog teams, is a very large effort to try to get out there. This is a remote area.
The accident coming as parts of Texas are in the midst of a deluge.
With the continuing downpour of rain, we will face sustained challenges for a few more days.
Massive flooding from record rainfall has led Texas Governor Greg Abbott to declare a state of disaster in dozens of counties, and a large swath of the state remains under a flood warning. Governor Abbott is urging residents to avoid driving if possible. The relentless rain could break this weekend, but the devastation is already widespread.
Please, if you do not have to be out on the road, do not go driving out on the road. Understand, water can look innocent, it can look harmless, but you can drive into it and be completely swept away.
Now, obviously, the search effort is still ongoing, and it is a big one. Several area agencies have volunteered their manpower and dogs to comb this area, but it is remote, it is tough to get to, and there is still plenty of water there, making things difficult. Reporting from Fort Hood, Texas, I'm Scott McLean.
Let's keep our eye on the economy. Let's take a look at the stock market watch at the New York Stock Exchange. As we can see, everything down. The Dow 31, NASDAQ 28, S&P 500 also down at 6. Coming up on News 2, we have much more straight ahead, including the King of the Wing. Are you ready to show how great of a cook you are to gain that title? That's coming up next. As they step into the future, there was laughter, tears, joy to be taking the next step of their lives, but sad to leave the familiar behind. This was a scene at UVI Sports and Fitness Center on Thursday evening as 12 graduates entered the world as adults. Celebrating its 65th graduating class was a milestone for St. Peter and Paul School. The graduates, the total amount of scholarship and grants awarded is $785,000. Valedictorian Camille Emmanuel was awarded more than $295,000 to study nursing at UVI. 3 students won Lifer Awards for 14 years since pre-kindergarten, and we will be happy to share some pictures once we get that. Now let's take a look at the Department of Education's graduation schedule of upcoming commencement ceremonies for elementary schools. 6th graders going into 7th grade. Now June 14th, it's Ricardo Richards at 9 a.m. Also on June 14th is Juanita Gardine at 1 p.m. June 15th is Alexander Henderson at 9. June 16th, Lou Muckle at 9 a.m. June 16th, Eulalie Rivera at 9. June 16th is also Alfredo Andrews at 1 p.m. June 17th, it's Pearl B. Larson's time at 1 p.m. June 20th is Claudio Marco at 1 p.m. Then June 20th, we have Janie Twitt, 9 a.m. at the courtyard. June 20th, again, Joseph Sibley, 9 a.m., the cafeteria. And over on St. Thomas, June 21st, E. Benjamin Oliver, 9 a.m., the amphitheater. June 21st, Gladys Abraham, 9 a.m., at the cafeteria. June 21st, Joseph Gomez, 9 a.m. June 21st, Lockhart, 1:30, the cafeteria. June 21st, Alla F. Muller, 9 a.m. Adelita Cankrine's Auditorium, that's where that one will be held. June 21st, Yvonne Milner-Bowski School, 9 a.m. at the cafeteria. And on June 22nd, we have Leonard Dober School, 9 a.m. in the courtyard. A huge flea market is coming up this weekend, but it's different. It encourages young people to become entrepreneurs. And here's a little more from the agency called Startup VI Inc.
Startup VI, which is an entrepreneur network, where we primary goal is to teach entrepreneurship and bring our youths get our youths involved, and we want to create a venue for developing and growing small business in the Virgin Islands.
We're excited about this project, fully endorse it. We have to work with the youth. We have to work with the church. We've got to give hope, and we've got to give entrepreneurship to our young people on the island.
We are here lending our support also to our brother, knowing that when we come together as one, we can make things happen in our community. So come on down to Fort Christian on Saturday morning. Bring what you have. Bring it in a box. Put it in a wheelbarrow. Bring it in the back of your car. Whatever, however you want to bring it, and we will give you the skill and teach you how to sell what you have. Remember, one man's trash is another treasure. Hope to see you there.
Great message there. Well, the much anticipated King of the Wing contest is coming up on Saturday. The annual event will include many teams consisting of top local restaurants, businesses, organizations, and chicken wing connoisseurs. Cooking begins right on the beach, starting from about 12 noon till about 5. The event serves as the most crucial fundraising platform for the Nana Baby Children's Home of St. Thomas. More than $230,000 has been raised in over 5 years for the full-service orphanage, providing shelter, food, and care for abandoned children in the USVI from the ages of infancy to 12 years old. The 32nd annual women's race hits the street of Frederiksted on Sunday at 4:45 p.m. Hundreds of women will run, jog, and walk the course in support of the Women's Coalition of St. Croix, who provide advocacy programs and services to end all forms of violence and oppression by promoting equality for all. Registration for the race is $15 in advance and $20 on race day. Register online at www.wcstx.org.
Us getting together as women and showing force and showing unity and showing how we support each other.
We're doing pre-registration at the following sites on Saturday at Kmart East and West, the Frederiksted Post Office, and Cost-U-Less between 10 a.m. and 12 noon.
Now, the VIPD has put some parking restrictions in place for that race. Here's what you need to know.
Effective from noon until the completion of the women's race, parking restrictions will be in effect for King Street, Strand Street, Queen Cross Street, Custom House Street. Any vehicles found parked in prohibited areas will be ticketed and towed away at the owner's expense. The race course runs out of Frederiksted Town on King Street north to just past the Mahogany Road entrance, then turns back south on King Street, west on Queen Cross Street, and north on Strand Street. The following roads will be closed to vehicular traffic during the race and will be reopened once it's deemed safe for vehicular traffic to proceed. King Street from Fisher Street to North and Mahogany Road, King and Queen Cross Street, Strand Street from Fisher Street to Ann Abramson Pier entrance. The cooperations of the motoring public is being requested in this regard, and we regret any inconveniences caused by these necessary changes. Vendors will not be permitted to do business within 1,000 feet of the Fort Frederick area unless they obtain a special permit to conduct business in said area.
And lots of outdoor events on tap for this weekend. Let's hear what the weather's going to be like. That's coming up next.